Let's just get started. Let me that metronome.
Do you want to pour him on camera?
Yeah. Let's pour out the shots. All right, everybody. Welcome to Outside Looking In, episode 2. Another politics power hour coming at you. This time we're coming in a little bit more prepared than we did the last time around. We've made some housekeeping rules. So first of all,
it's a low bar.
Yes, it is a low bar. We do still intend to get sloppy. I can't reach it.
Yeah, I got you.
I trust
you.
Okay, so first of all, this is Neill, the nuclear physicist. Neill. He has street cred, and by street cred I mean the opposite of street cred. Yeah, it's not the street smarts, it's the book smarts. He's got book cred, I think is what it's called. So, anyways,
I got friends in the library.
Right. So, anyways, we've made a little bit of changes.
Oh my God!
Did you already do your shots?
I just did it.
He did his shot already. Hold
did
on. Stop. He's got a little
Whoa, what can I say?
over here. Hold on. We got to do a shot for the producer as well.
Was I fast or was he slow?
You
I'll
were
leave
fast.
it to the audience.
We haven't even begun. So, anyways, we have chasers now, including Ramu Bottle, Hey Song Sarsaparilla, and Chinese vitamin water. Just called V, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so we have soft drink chasers. We have soft food of the banana variety.
This is a
bread
plan.
and
this is
regular.
part of the plan. Oh,
and,
wow.
So we don't want to crunch in your ears. So I've taken precautions, and I hope that everything's
been Googling.
runs smoothly. Okay, so anyways, to the first shot. Good God.
I'm a monster.
Beaver.
Ding,
Right.
ding. Oh. There was some in there.
Ooh, smooth. That is never easy. Okay. So, anyways, our first topic, I wanted to bring up where we ended last week with Nick, my guest Nick, who was regaling us with a tale of his trip to Havana in Cuba. And what I finally got out of him was that almost every local he tried to commiserate with, he's going around speaking his broken he speaks Spanish, he's speaking his broken Spanish, trying to make friends. But everybody he ends up talking to apparently gets arrested. And after like the first or second guy, you think maybe it's coincidence, but third, fourth, fifth, wait a second, what's going on? So in my head, it clicks that, hey, was Nick being followed the whole time?
Yeah.
I don't know. Nick, correct me if this is all wrong or if I'm getting the story wrong at all. But that got me thinking about the topic of privacy in general and what it means for us. We are not in Cuba. So we have some expectation of privacy, but at the same time, I don't think we really understand what privacy means in the new world.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've given up a lot, right? And we've kind of given it up quietly.
Yes.
It's the kind of thing that I think that
willingly
most people just don't want to think about this as an issue in their lives. They just read the forms. Click the they don't read the forms, right? They just look at the forms, scroll by quickly, and they click on the thing. Agreed. And honestly, I mean, we're all gonna die someday. I'm not gonna read one of those things,
right? Exactly. Who's got time for that,
right? Who the hell would? Yeah. In a way, this is the contradiction we find ourselves in, right? Where sure they should be allowed to make a contract, and sure I want free Facebook,
right? That's it. We're getting a free service out of it in theory, so that's why we are so willing to give up our data. It only costs me my data for this, but really,
but the terms are functionally opaque, right? Like we don't really know what we're signing up to. Nobody does.
Yeah, that's true.
This is just a black box, essentially.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, privacy, it's not an issue that I want to consider in my life, but I feel forced.
Right.
I feel forced to worry about it.
Right. Yeah. And this always comes. A lot of it comes back to too. If you don't have anything to hide, then what is the point of this privacy, anyways? Who cares? Like if you don't have anything to hide, and the point is, come on. We all have a little something to hide, right?
And kind of psychologically, I feel like a lot of us feel like we have the safety of the crowd around us.
Yes.
Right? Like everyone is exposed. And so maybe no one is exposed.
Right.
In a way.
We're all in this together. Right.
Unless there's like someone like I do not have boring. I mean, I do not have interesting secrets. I have fairly boring secrets.
Right. Yeah.
Hopefully,
like benign,
right?
Right.
And the danger is if something happens, maybe like selective enforcement, right? If all this stuff is out there, and I find myself in a situation where someone does want to dig up dirt, I have plenty of Facebook posts.
Right. Exactly.
Me and my friends have had a long-standing belief that we basically can't run for office, ever.
We were the first generation really to put our entire lives up on social media. Definitely too much information up on social media. That's for sure. A lot of underage drinking drinking went up there.
Oh God,
sure.
yeah.
That's why we're so good at the binge drinking right now. That's I'm an American, damn it.
Forged
From the
in
ages of
fire.
18 to 21, all I did was binge drink. So that's kind of a weird thing to think about too. But all sorts of but this privacy thing, this is something that the whole world is kind of struggling with at the same time. Not like the underage drinking problem like we got. But
well, I almost feel bad that there are countries where privacy is something that you really couldn't get even if you argued for it.
Right.
And for us, we just sort of we're just like, yeah, why not?
Do we really want privacy?
Yeah. Right.
I don't
well, like I do
know.
want
Is it
privacy,
worth
but
it?
I also want Facebook. I want to read the
Right.
memes. Like I need
Right.
some posts.
Well, and the thing that people are always failing to realize is, okay, all right, Facebook is making billions of dollars. Everybody knows that, but it's a free service. So how are they making their money? Like, right? What is the thing? If the service is free, then you are the product. I think that sounds like we were trying to find that earlier.
Right, we're hovering around it.
It's we're not quite there, but it's close to that. Like, but yeah, it's we are the product, right? We are all generating the content that is generating our clicks.
And I don't even think we know what the consequences are yet. The consequences are whatever people end up doing with our data, and those will be the consequences.
Look, right now it's all profit motives, at least, which is at least sort of easy to, understand the motivations there a little bit. But with other interests at play, this could get a lot more nefarious.
Perversely, I kind of feel like like it's over, it's out. Like I kind of don't really feel like there's a lot more they could know about me.
I assume that everybody knows what kind of porn I watch at this point, right? Like,
exactly. It's in a database.
Everybody knows.
It's filed.
Like, if you want to look, you can look that up, guys.
I've gotten enough Amazon suggestions to know that it's pretty much out there.
I love that shit where it's like, Facebook, stop sending me gay advertisements. Like, it's targeted, right? They're just like going off here, like.
Do you have that story of the pregnant woman who was suggested her behavior was the behavior which some deep learning AI somewhere decided was the online behavior of someone who is pregnant? Like nausea in the morning, things like this. She did not know she was pregnant, and she started getting suggested pregnant, right?
So the machine knows us better than we know ourselves.
Yeah, that's some like dark, disconcerting stuff.
And there were no people involved in any of that. Those were all algorithms at play.
Yeah.
Horrifying, but also kind of cool at the same
I
time.
know there's part of me that's like, wow, dope, good job, AI.
Yeah, seriously.
You kind of nailed it.
This is the kind of shit that we kind of want from AI, right?
Stop it, you cool creep. You nailed it, but...
Wow, how did you know that? This is why I don't... Dude, my iPod... I think of a song, and all of a sudden, Shuffle just like pops it up. What is going on, man? Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
Spotify is real good, man. Spotify suggests all kinds of stuff that I'm like, yeah, this is like entirely my shit.
I did want to hear this. Like, how did you?
Okay, so this is the other thing. Like, how much? I kind of sometimes I appreciate having given up all that data.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why we give it up so easily. Is because there's so many benefits that come with the giving up of data. All of these services.
I think. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
so prepared.
You're fine. Jesus.
So no, it'll be fine.
It's like
I buy very topical
phone.
phones. No,
awesome.
This is all part of the plan. Okay.
Anyways, Neil goes through phones pretty quickly.
Yeah, I do.
If you're wondering why.
Yeah, well, the taxi gods are demanding.
Yeah, indeed. Oh God, a lot of drunken spillouts. But anyways, yeah, he's fine. That's why he's left plenty of phones everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. I'm an absent-minded academic, all right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just a nutty professor, you guys.
Wackadoodle. But yeah, anyways, I think at the end, we'll see. They're making a mint off of us, and there's so much money to be made.
So that's the dark side, right? Is like Spotify, I know what the deal is. Like, I don't know how I feel about my shit going out to advertisers, but I also just don't know how much I'm going to do to stop it.
Yeah, that's kind of, so services like there's almost some level of ethics to something like Netflix or like Spotify, which is just trying to give you better content that you like.
Exactly.
Whereas the targeted advertisements of Facebook and other social media platforms, this is kind of a little more... I don't know, though, but don't we want to see relevant advertisements? Like, I don't think...
Well, listen, fundamentally, here's the question. Are we willing to pay for services? Right? You know, we can dance around that, but, like, to some extent, it's kind of our fault.
But, I mean, a little bit, but at the same time, we're not paying for these services, but these guys are making billions off of, like, us using these services.
Well, and the deceptiveness of so this news story came out. I haven't looked into it, so citation needed, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I mean, Facebook. If you turn off location tracking, like, please don't save my location.
Yes, and you can say it was brought to your attention in an Andrew Yang tweet.
Yeah,
this is
all
a
right,
Yang
let's
safe
keep it
zone.
on brand.
We are Yang Gang. I am Yang Gang.
Yeah,
I'm in a perpetual crusade to make the whole world Yang Gang too. But
I'm
in
like
any case,
tottering behind the Yang Gang with an interested ear out. Maybe
stage 3 Yang right over there.
Well,
this is it's not quite denial. It's all in between denial and acceptance.
Unfortunately, I find it hard to be part of gangs of any sort.
Fair play.
So.
That's fair enough. But
the Yang Gang is a particularly nice one. But
that's a super interesting point, though.
I love the hats.
They say you can turn on the privacy, you can turn off location sharing, but Facebook still collects the information and shares it
exactly.
anyways.
And that's the kind of thing that makes you think, even if we cared,
right?
Like, that's not. I feel like that's not
like
your
a futile
fault. Like,
battle,
right?
Like,
I know.
Yeah. How are we doing on time? Are we good? Oh, continue. Sorry, she'll let us know.
Man.
Our producer's on top of things.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're just eager to take the next shot. This Mr.
I know, to be honest.
Let's get it poured.
Yeah.
Right. Are we good for the next one?
And audience out there, we're not alcoholics. That's the good news.
I tried it. I only drink once a week. Well, twice a week.
Right.
Couple times a week.
And that's why we're just excited.
Right. And this is our Friday, and this is what we do to wind down in the end.
But man, I mean, fundamentally, I just don't think this privacy thing is something that gets people riled up.
Right.
And it will circle the drain, right? It will be a news cycle kind of thing. It bumps up. People get upset about the latest story, and then it drifts into the background. I say people, but I am people in this case, right? Like, right. Yeah, I am that dude.
We've been railing on about it since Snowden, and all this stuff. Like, it's been 7-8 years since that shit came out.
Well, let's distinguish, NSA level spying
from corporate,
exactly.
Trying to sell me.
Although, the connection with backdoors and all of this,
it's all connected.
Are we doing
Anyways,
it?
yes, it is time for the next round.
Oh, thank God, I was twitching over here.
Oh.
Oh, baby.
All right, no shooters, no chasers yet. That's good.
We're so eager for it right now, and towards the end, we're gonna be like, "What were we thinking?"
All right. Next one. So, what are we talking about now? Oh, we got the nuclear physicist here. We're going to talk about nuclear energy a little bit, and really just sort of the climate crisis in general. Obviously, blah blah blah, existential threat. This is the biggest threat of our generation. Blah blah blah.
Blah blah blah. We're all screwed.
We're all gonna die. Get to higher ground.
It's bad, you guys.
It is
we're
a real
deflecting.
problem.
It's very bad.
It is.
It's a bad thing. We're
fine.
like hiding our panic.
Everything is fine. But this brings me to all the Democrats right now. Everybody's pushing big green energy plans, which is everybody. Of course, this is the future. And this is the end. When the end game is renewable energies, that is we should call it unlimited power. That's
Exactly.
That's really
this is the frustrating thing. This should not be an issue that hinges on your opinion of global warming.
Right.
And by the way, if you don't accept anthropogenic global warming, human-caused global warming, you're full of nonsense.
You can't just
right?
talk to.
But you shouldn't need to.
Right.
You should just be
regardless
in favor
of the
this
climate
stuff
change
because it's
argument.
a good thing to happen. Pollution is, I don't know, a bad thing.
Just. In and of itself, not forget the warming effects of pollution,
CO2, whatever.
Shitty gray skies is not a good thing. Polluted oceans is not a good thing.
But the nuclear thing, I mean, I feel a little bit bad harping on this sometimes because there's a little bit of "I told you so" that has to go into it. Because fundamentally, nuclear is like a slow ramp up kind of thing. We're talking 5 years to get these things up and running. We need solutions now.
Okay.
But the "I told you so" part of it is all of these climate change left-wing people who I am one of them, but there's a lot of science denial around that.
That's the crazy part.
And I understand
that
it's scary and also needs to be respected. I mean, absolutely, this is a powerful force that we're dealing with. But
the atom,
we bias the flashy events and we ignore just the slow burn. You want to talk about the cancer deaths per year from coal particulate.
Yeah.
I don't have numbers because why would I have numbers on this podcast?
Prepared? Shut up. Don't bring that in here.
Absolutely. Nuclear is low pollution. It does not cause all of these cancers. And honestly, if everyone who is going to die from a coal particulate related death died on one day every year, it would be treated as a national emergency.
Oh, it's Chernobyl times 9/11 equals.
It's this slow trickle of just dead, and it's a slow trickle of CO2 entering the atmosphere, and pollution entering our air and water.
For such a long time in the climate argument, because climate change has been an issue for more than 20 years, we've been talking about it. So if you're talking about that 5-year startup time, we haven't made new nuclear in America since the 1970s. There has not been a new nuclear power plant. So I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
I'm not sure about that.
We haven't done a lot. We have not done a lot of development compared to other countries.
100% true.
Like France is 80% nuclear energy. Japan has gotten a lot. I know Fukushima, but that's not a good example. But they got so much of their energy from nuclear, and this is lots and lots of the developed world does. But one Godzilla movie is all it takes, I guess. It's like all,
in Chernobyl, we should talk about Chernobyl for a second. Chernobyl was horrible. Yeah. Chernobyl was also the result of gross incompetence and would never happen again.
We all saw the TV show, right?
We saw the TV show. I learned about
very
it
well done
in books, to be clear.
Fair. All right.
So I'm gonna like old school you with that.
We get it. He reads books. All right.
But no, absolutely. Like, the show nailed it, frankly. It was gross incompetence combined with a cover-up of a design flaw.
Right. And we are talking Soviet Union here.
No
this is
business
not a lot of
running
transparency.
A nuclear power. Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, not just to make it a Soviet problem, but like it was very symptomatic of that era, and it was symptomatic of the low-level technology that they were using. Right. And yes, it was incredibly bad, but this is the kind of thing that's not going to happen again.
Well, yes, exactly. And
3 Mile Island was not bad.
It was
actually a shining example of how safe nuclear power is.
Like, oh shit,
it could have been bad, and then it wasn't.
But then there was Fukushima. Fukushima was more of an incident.
Right, and this is where we have to respect the power of what we're working with. Because there are, earthquakes are kind of a classic example. You never know when they're coming, and you never really know how big they're going to be. All you can do is plot a statistical distribution of earthquakes, and you know that there will be one of this size probably within a certain number of years. But the big one will come, and when the big one comes, you have this incredibly powerful force operating, and it could be bad.
Right.
Just compare that to coal and all of this
exactly.
stuff.
Is climate change really
what
this
are
existential
real
crisis?
Options?
Exactly.
What
are the carbon emissions of a nuclear power plant? Zero.
And notice
there are no carbon emissions.
Except for some mentions of CO2. I didn't have to bring up global warming in that whole conversation. We can just talk about pollution, cancer deaths.
Yeah.
Pollution in the air, pollution.
Well, that is the end game of pollution, and I guess raising sea levels, property damage, and blah blah blah. But again,
so all of these small things,
right? So I guess this is where I'm seeing a little bit of a split, and this is where, of course. So is nuclear worth pursuing now? I guess is the question.
That's a complicated question, and the answer is probably where it makes sense.
Okay.
But alternative sources of energy are getting great. They're getting to the point where they can compete with coal. And the costs are lower. Like, nuclear is expensive.
Right.
Nuclear takes a long time. But part of the problem is that nuclear gets cheaper and quicker the more you do it.
Okay.
And so if we had started, and this is why it's sort of I told you so, right? It's like if we had started a long time ago. Mostly I want to beat the liberals over the head with the stick of, you say you're anti-science, or you're pro-science. Right? Like, you want to say that everyone else is anti-science and you're pro-science. Well, like, embrace the messiness of the reality of what that means to be pro-science.
Exactly.
It means that you are not always going to have your ideology getting a head pat.
Exactly.
What's going on, right? And sometimes you're going to have to eat one and admit that, like, it seemed scary and it seemed bad, but it turns out that if we'd done it 15 years, it might have saved the world.
Right. And that's just it. I think a lot of this comes down to our own anxieties about things that we don't understand, I guess, a lot of the time. No, whereas, and that's the carbon fuels, we get fire, set fire, turn wheel.
Exactly. Well, it's exactly it, right? It's the devil we know.
Yeah. But unfortunately, we also know that devil is, we also understand the effects of climate change.
It turns out the devil's still going to kill us and send us all to climate hell. So
super interesting.
Even if we know the devil.
Yeah, and we got to talk about how about the developing world? Like, what do they do? Like, when coal is so, especially because the Western world, we're getting off of these fossil fuels, which is making it super cheap and a very attractive option for the developing world.
Because we built an economy on the back of using all of these fossil
Right.
fuels.
And
You
now
look
we're
at the
saying,
carbon
"Don't
budget,
do what we did."
and where the carbon budget is coming from in terms of like, you know, we have like a degree and a half or something, 3 degrees. I forget, this is a numbers podcast.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, we have this essentially bucket, a graph, which was represented by a bucket, and it's being filled up, and it is embarrassing if you look at that.
Right. How much has already
You
been
talk
filled,
about the
like,
rate of putting it in. Right now, we're getting, you know, China
Better.
is really dumping it in there, and we're
that's-
getting better. But you look at the total amount. This is basically a bunch of people who have already done their building, already burped their fuel out into the
Right,
atmosphere, and now we're like, come on, guys, we got to be serious about this. We really got, and like,
it's-
come on, guys, we got to be serious about this, but let's, you know, have some recognition of what we're asking.
Well, this is why we need to take it
countries
upon
that have
ourselves
not.
to subsidize the energy infrastructure of the developing world where we
I
can, because we need to incentivize them to go green in the first place. And really, those are incentives that should be easy to sell, because again, you don't need to set up long-term supply lines for the sun. Or for wind,
Right.
Or for things that you know that can really sustain their energy needs for a long time. And like as renewables get more and more competitive, you're right. Maybe the time for nuclear is over. But my God,
but
we
there's
did not
still
do
a
enough
time
of
and a
it.
place,
Sure,
probably,
and again,
and
right
like,
now
yeah.
it feels like there's a window for a stopgap at
Right,
least.
yeah.
Because are they building new coal power plants in the developing world? Yes.
Yeah.
Would it be better if they were nuclear? Yes,
Yeah.
it absolutely
Yeah.
would. But again, then you got to deal with the fuel.
Well, and like if you can't
like,
convince Americans to do it in their backyard, like it
I don't-
arguably is a little unfair.
I think it would be easy to sell to the developing world, because I don't think they understand anything. They just want the lights turned on in a lot of places, man. Like
possibly,
that's, I guess there
culturally
could be anxiety.
place to place.
Maybe
But
it
yeah.
depends.
No, I see what
but,
you mean. Yeah, like let's not assume that our delusions are the delusions of the world.
Exactly, that's what I mean. And you know, how many anti-vaxxers are there in
Yeah.
Africa? I feel like they're probably like,
We'll
we
see.
need those
Yeah.
vaccines.
Yeah,
Probably
exactly.
like we're still in need
Well,
of
yeah,
them. So.
anti-vax is essentially. Oh, we're getting. Oh man, and we just started
Flag
talking about a
9.
totally different topic.
All right,
So
perfect.
great timing.
All right, it is that time.
Here we go. I'm starting to feel the buzz.
Yeah, take that. So we are on to shot number 3 now. And we're going to switch topics. Oh, this will be fun. All right,
forgot what it was.
libertarians.
Oh yeah, I love you guys. Don't and remember that when I
Yes.
say what I'm about to say.
So this one's for you, Evan. All right,
Salutes.
got a great libertarian friend. We're gonna do one in
And
Japan,
so do I. And
Japan,
so
right?
do I.
Lots of them. They're great. They're the only conservatives you can really talk to.
Yeah, I love
no
talking
offense
to
to
libertarians. No, I love talking to
too.
libertarians. They're a great conversation partners.
Absolutely. There's a great foundational philosophy to what they're believing in, and
Yeah, they dig the principles.
Where does it all start? It starts with the foundation of all of our success in the Western world, and that is with markets. Like at the end of the day, market economies are a thing.
They're powerful.
Yay!
They're deeply
Capitalism, woo!
Ish.
Yeah. Well, of course.
Two
ish.
cheers for capitalism. 1.5.
All right. Well, I mean, markets. I mean, our study of economics and understanding of capitalism. We're just putting names to things that have always existed.
Yeah.
A little bit, and really, the first solutions have come from person-to-person transactions, and that's the beauty of the market, and that's where we get innovation, and that's where we get most of our resource needs taken care of. Most of this stuff can be handled in private interactions between people. And I think this is where libertarians try to focus on the strength of people and independence of people and allowing them to make their decisions.
People know what they want more than generally other people know what they want.
Exactly. And so many times it breaks down into, like, what is it? The Republicans are like the they'll freak out if you dance to rock and roll or something like that. There's kind of there's a moral a blanket over everything.
Yeah, this is not a hang up of the libertarians.
Yes, a libertarian.
They might not dance
drugs,
with you
blah, blah, blah.
with their
Yeah,
suits
exactly.
in there.
Yeah, not the
And their
best dancers,
business
the
clubs.
libertarians, but they'll let you dance. That's for sure. And the Democrats,
Exactly.
the Democrats are prone to their welfare programs. They're not. I don't want to say nanny state, but they're institutions that are there to act as safety nets and to take care of the people that are left behind in these markets. But a lot of the times libertarians view this as a bloated bureaucracy that gets taken advantage of, where people abuse the system and cheat the system, which this happens. It does. But to how much is really fraud and how much of it is actually helping people, that's always, I guess, up for debate. I would always argue that it helps more people. And I would rather help the people than care too much about the people who are taking advantage of it.
That is exactly. So I said that I would give some props to the libertarians before I take a giant shit on them. Right. So I will absolutely do that.
The props.
Yeah. So the props. First of all, as I said, libertarians are wonderful conversation partners. I find that they think a lot about why they believe what they believe, and they try to base it in kind of moral principles that are often moral principles I don't agree with.
Yeah, a lot.
But I find
charity
it
will
very
take care
easy
of
to
it.
I feel like when I leave a conversation with a libertarian, I understand where they're coming from. I also I'll give a point where I think I was wrong and libertarians were right. I'm not totally sure about that, but Obama took a lot of presidential powers, essentially as a reaction to being stymied at every turn. Congress, so I understand why that happened. And my libertarian friends were telling me this is dangerous. And I was not having it. I was like, look at the political reality.
Yeah.
And I still might buy that argument. But then Donald Trump became president. And I was like, yo, maybe.
Yeah, but also, yeah, but get a load of this. Would Donald Trump have ever have cared about any precedent? You know what I mean? Like, even if Obama expanded those powers, would Trump not have done it anyways?
But it would have been nice to not give him a preloaded set of powers.
I guess so.
He would have had to, maybe fight for that stuff.
Yeah, these are weird things to consider.
Fight, right?
But these are the things that we have to consider. Nobody saw Donald Trump
the general
happening.
Point, though,
Here we are.
Libertarians worry about power generally.
Right.
And and they worry about who's going to be next.
Right. But my biggest problem, my biggest gripe is in the end, power is going to be generated no matter what. Yeah. And it's going to be generated in the markets in lieu of. And that's not something that we can really get our hands on. That's all. That's money. Money is what's powering that. And we are not good at voting with our dollars. We support all sorts of bullshit.
And this is where I get to the super disagreements with, I think libertarians have this view of humanity that is based on a rational actor model in economics.
Yes.
And I understand that most economists would not take that view, that they use the rational actor model as a tool. So not necessarily shitting on economists here, but man, this whole idea that people are just like the nanny state thing. I kind of want a nanny state sometime because life is short and I don't want to have to min-max my life at every moment. I don't want to be sitting. I do not have the dream of sitting around for 48 hours every year figuring out what health insurance I want to go with. I hate that. I want those decisions to be easy and just sort of slotted in. And I understand that someone might take advantage of me, but I just do not have the time in my day.
Right.
And so to some extent, be my nanny.
Yeah.
Give me some buttons to push.
Well, and this is where, when you talk to any libertarian, eventually you're going to get them to concede that the government, well, of course they'll say provides law enforcement, enforce property rights, military and stuff like that, but they'll also probably be pro-education, which is sort of a universal benefit.
I met some super private roads libertarians.
I have two, so I'm just saying, but the more reasonable ones.
Let's not bright. We don't need to focus on the extremes here.
Yeah, exactly. But again, they will concede that some service, the market does fail. The market is not going to provide an education to everybody.
That's right.
So we're going to need a government to step in and provide that. So again, I get this. So not to harp back on. Oh, well, actually, you know what? Let's. I'll get to Yang again later. But let's talk about.
Of course, you will.
The biggest gripe that I have is the false equivalency that they apply to both Democrats and Republicans for blame, and that kills me. Yeah, because so for example, I was talking with my buddy today about. What was it about the gridlock in Congress, right? And we're talking about impeachment, and that's what they're doing, and at least something's getting done, but they should be doing other stuff. Well, the Democrats in the House have passed more than 400 bills since they've taken over the House in 2018. So where are they all? They're all sitting on McConnell's desk gathering dust, and that's one man holding up the entire process. And now how are we supposed to assign equal blame there?
Republicans in this era are a special beast.
Absolutely obstructionist, completely not acting in good faith within this legislative process.
It's just not the moment for both sides right now.
And now, especially with a divided government too. But yeah, you're right. This is it happens all the time with libertarians, and I see all right, let's vote Gary Johnson then.
Let's try and so both sidesism. Let's try and so there's a term, the opposite of a straw man, a steel man. Let's try to find the good argument for both sidesism. Essentially, anti-tribalism is the best reason to be both sidesy.
Right.
To think like, political thought is not a football game.
Right. And that's why the instinct is probably good, right? Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So like it's just like when that becomes like a conclusion as opposed to a starting point.
Right.
It's where it starts to bother me.
Right. That's
because like
good. Yeah.
we really need to understand when one side is just not operating in good faith.
Right.
Where it's not about disagreements. It's about essentially like borderline hostile takeover of the United States government.
That is exactly
ruled by a minority of actual voters using the levers of power to maintain their influence, which is not reflective of what people actually
completely
believe.
Abusing
it's
minority
an anti-democratic
absolutely
force
right
in our country.
Exactly. And this is where we actually stand. I guess this is something that I like about our presidential systems versus the parliamentary ones. We have these regular elections where we can come in and express our rage and create a big sweeping movement. Like it happened in 2008 with Obama. Like Democrats swept everything. We had a united government. And I believe that we will have one of those again if we get the right candidate on the Democratic side. I think we'll have that again, and we'll be able to just shove whatever policies we think down everybody's throats instead of another goddamn round of tax cuts or whatever. Oh God, what was their ambitions? I didn't understand what they actually wanted to do when they came. And this is again another key to the Republican rule is that they believe government. The foundation is government bad. Government does not provide solutions.
Right.
So when they come into power, they do government badly.
Exactly.
Like it so reinforces their own
Al
argument.
Franken quote, the Republican aim is to say that government is a bad thing and then get in power and prove it.
Exactly.
I just butchered that quote, but he
Franken
just like
had another
nailed
good
it.
Quote too. Yeah,
nailed it with
that. Man, got me all sad. Don't bring up Franken.
Oh, well, sorry. Wanting to loop around to both sidesism though, and like tribalism. One issue I take with this is that they see tribalism as a binary and they see themselves as being outside of a tribe when in fact they are a third tribe.
I guess.
With their own tribalism, right? And like both sides is a way to set up a binary so they can set themselves up as not a side.
Tertiary, right?
Like I'm not a side. I'm just this view from nowhere that's just objectively viewing the whole world in front of me. It's like, no, dude, you're coming from somewhere too.
Right. It was so funny to me too because these same libertarians are the ones that are like, yeah, Bernie's not so bad. I'm like,
oh, really?
Bernie's like the exact opposite of your philosophy.
Chill with the libertarians that you know.
Yeah, I know, dude. I mean, all right, we're moving on. Like, they just like the outsider aspect is what I mean.
Right, no, I see what you mean,
And I'm like, but you shouldn't like him because he stands for everything you don't stand for.
But I mean, I'm glad you do. Yeah, well, let's not, there's like cards and things and.
It's probably not safe.
Yeah, and I am very shaky hand drunk right now.
Where are we getting? We're getting about halfway through. So this is shot number 4.
Wow, man, seeing this bottle go down is really driving home how
drunk we should be getting.
Life. Where we at, homies?
All right, I'm gonna crack open my Hey Song Sarsaparilla
sponsor.
Hey Song. Tastes like medicine.
Good Lord gave us an editing program.
I regret this. Oh,
entirely. Really?
Yeah, go for it. I'm gonna open up this Japanese shit instead. Oh,
how is this not just Coke? No, Dr. Pep. No, root beer.
Root beer. I told you, sarsaparilla. Got that sarsaparilla. All right. Next topic. Where are we now? So we got the the debate.
Oh, the debate.
So this brings us around to the debate that just happened. So I will begin with my obligatory Yang Gang shoutouts.
Of course.
So first we gotta review. We gotta review the past 24 hours for the Yang Gang.
Get a soapbox for this man?
Yes, please. Let me stand. Made the debate. Had the least amount of talking time. Had the least amount of speaking time as usual. But
he made it count.
Most effective. And somebody else brought up to me. So the candidates get time to respond when they get attacked. So actually, the candidates that get attacked the most end up speaking the most. Right. Amy Klobuchar being the shining example of not actually just interjecting and butting her way in. We'll get some Amy hating a little bit. But Yang is never attacked, is my point. So he never has to defend himself. So he gets less speaking time in that regard. But more than that, my man was on Ellen, swinging that Ellen dick. I don't know.
Edit. Go back.
Anyways, trying to get on Ellen for a long time. That's a massive platform. Ellen is huge.
It is indeed.
So like
It is
this
indeed.
is a massive thing to be able to get on there and expose himself.
Yeah.
And that was on the day of the debates, so
Right.
that was very important. And or the day before, I guess. And then the endorsement.
Yeah.
Donald
Come on,
Glover,
man.
Childish Gambino, is officially Yang Gang. Not just endorsed, he is working for the campaign.
Wait, no
he is
kidding.
the creative director.
Breaking news.
Yes.
Well, for me, breaking
He has
onto
a
my face.
job with the campaign, dude. That is crazy. Like, this is the most out of nowhere. Like, I did not expect that endorsement at all, and it's huge. Is there anybody bigger than Donald Glover right now in terms of, like, overall media?
Let me
Like,
check my nuclear physicist Rolodex over here. I've got the answer in here somewhere.
Fair play. But seriously, between Atlanta with the Emmys, Gambino with, This Is America was like the biggest song in
was.
recent memory
It was.
in kind of ways. And now just using
it's
his
reach,
clout.
you know? Yeah.
He's never
I mean, people are
endorsed
going to
anybody
pay attention
before.
to Yang
That's a
that
big
wouldn't have
thing,
otherwise.
man. That's a big thing. So, anyways, that's all right, my Yang soapbox
There
is
you go.
over.
There you go.
But so let's talk more about the rest of the debate, though. So, why is Amy Klobuchar there?
Yeah, well, let me first, before we dig too hard, I want to say like a mild thing about debates. Debates are an unnatural format.
Sure.
And like things can come off in ways that like you're halfway in, like barbs are really hard to pull off.
Right.
And like, I don't want a stand-up
Yang nailed
comedian
one.
as
Yeah.
president. Yeah, well, he actually crushed that. That was
You gotta
pretty
go
good.
out on Pete.
Yeah, it was like,
Really good.
it started meandering and then he like pulled it together
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
wine cave.
Nobody wants to
Wow.
shake the money tree in the wine cave. That's it.
Shake the money tree in the wine cave is also just like, wow, I want to
good line.
give a
It's good.
clap on the back to, if he wrote that,
was
good
him.
on you, baby.
Yep. So, that was in reference to Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, we should explain.
Let's, so Pete, this was the debate, right? So Bernie actually had a big moment where he was like, see, Joe, my good friend Joe, and he is a good friend, but he's got 44 billionaire donors over there.
Oh, wow, that was...
And meanwhile, let's talk about you over there, Pete. Pete, you're young and upcoming. You only have 39 billionaires, but you're young and resilient. I know you can take Joe on in this category. It was like, Bernie was dropping heat.
Yo.
And
was
people were
hardcore.
able to pile on. Like, so
Yeah,
Elizabeth Warren was
yeah.
able to pile on. Yang was able to pile on because these are the only three that are like that don't have those, like, the billionaire
That's right, yeah.
foundation. And Biden has his masses and his billionaires.
Yeah, you could just see Biden uncomfortably, like...
But Biden just gives that look, and that's all he's got to do, right? Like, Biden
It's
just
like, I'm
has
a
to...
big, serious politician, and I'm
That's
above
it.
all this.
Dude, and when he talks foreign policy, Biden is in his element, and you do feel like reassured a little
right.
bit listening
He
to
has
him
that
and
old
all
man
that.
used to be vice president
Yeah.
energy, you know?
Yeah,
you love
man.
an old man in a
That's-
suit in this
that's
country. That
statesmanliness.
country.
It's like a statesman a little bit, and he
he's got
comes
it.
off that way. And the critiques, man, he's just so Teflon, man. Like,
Yeah.
all of the attacks that
Yeah.
are hurled at him backfire on all the candidates.
Right.
Like, all of the people that have attacked him,
Yeah.
they're not on stage anymore.
It's an
Like,
interesting
all of them.
experience watching someone be criticized and agreeing with the criticism, but also just not feeling the criticism.
Right, yeah.
In a way where it's like, what kind of Jedi mind trick did you just
That's
play
what
on
I
me,
mean,
Joe Biden?
and that's what
That
I was
is-
like
that is
watching
skills.
Joe, and I was very
That
impressed
is like
with
old
him.
school skills right
Yeah,
there.
exactly, man. And that was like, and this is what I mean, which is what, to me, I don't want Joe at all. Like, I think that Joe is a continuation of basically the things in the past, that like a continuation of the status quo. Like, his diagnosis is Trump is bad, and we need to not have Trump. And if we get rid of Trump, everything will be okay again. And that's not a vision for the future.
Right. Right.
So the way he's handling himself in the campaign, he's doing very well, I think. In
a way, this
in terms
gets
of an
to-
incumbent, or he's kind of coming as an incumbent, like, if
Right.
that makes
Yeah,
sense. Like,
more-
he
yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah,
has
yeah.
that seat.
Yeah,
a little
exactly.
bit, Yeah.
Well, this gets at my discomfort with the debate format, is that I do find myself responding to things that, in retrospect, I shouldn't be responding to.
Right.
Or reacting negatively to things that, in retrospect, it's like, well, that was just a flubbed line.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That-
right. Like,
that's not like a big deal.
Yeah, the
That was
moderator
just like-
tried to get Bernie on something like that
Yeah,
because they
don't
asked
try
him
to
about
get Bernie.
race, and he started talking about climate change. He's like,
Yeah.
"But this is about race." And he's like, "If you gave me a second, I'd tell you how it's about race."
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
right.
he like kind of like clapped
It's a
back to
very
him.
Bernie moment.
Yeah,
It's a very Bernie
and
moment.
dude, Bernie's so awesome. Like, you love watching Bernie in those instances, and like, moderator, chill out. Bernie's gonna Bernie.
Well, Bernie earns a lot with the trust that people give him.
Hey, man. Like,
Right?
this is
And
the
that
thing.
trust is deserved, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
it is. He's been saying
Fundamentally,
the same
like,
thing
he
forever.
might not be my candidate, but I fully trust that Bernie believes in his principles.
integrity.
And
Yeah.
that he is fighting for what he believes is right. And if I was totally on board with his plans, I would be thrilled
Right.
to have a dude like that in my corner. And I'm somewhat on board with a lot of his plans, and I find the moral convictions lacking in a lot of candidates.
Yes,
it
exactly.
really brings me to
and
Bernie
these are
for
the
that
things
reason.
that always bring people to Bernie. But then
Yeah.
if you get somebody to try and like sit down and defend, all right, what is Bernie gonna do if he's president? And then you get people to sit down and try and talk about it, and there's like a whole lot of like, I don't know, like government's
Yeah.
gonna be everything all of a sudden now, like a
In
little
a way,
bit.
that's
like,
not his lane. Like his lane, and maybe it should be. Maybe it's possible that you do need plans if you're going to get elected in the United States government,
like, especially
But,
with
like,
such radical plans that he has. Like,
fundamentally, a lot of the Bernie people, their thing is like, I don't trust a single other one of these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't trust them. So you can have all the
gang.
plans in the world. I don't believe you.
right, and Bernie has done everything in his power to earn that trust, and people like Elizabeth Warren
He has
were
the
riding.
history.
Warren was kind of riding the coattails of Bernie's rhetoric, but then sort of like waffling a little bit and not actually having as much
Well,
conviction.
she's always had that. The
bit.
thing about Lizzie Dubs, who I'm a fan
L
of,
Dubs, gotcha. Yeah.
is
I like
listen.
her,
She, this is not out of character for her. She has she used to be a Republican, right? And
did.
to a lot of people, that would be a downside. And to me, that's a downside. Like, you know, you were a Republican during the AIDS crisis, so like that's kind of messed up. I don't know how you square that.
Not to mention, and the whole Pocahontas thing. Jesus Christ.
Well,
Anyways,
I mean, yeah,
all right,
of course.
another
We
thing.
want to talk about the Pocahontas thing. Obviously, that was just unconscionable.
You're right.
But her thing has always been, I have moral principles, but I'm willing to work with whatever plan
Within
I can
the system.
find to reach those
Right.
moral principles, or
Yeah.
not even purely within the system, but I want an actual plan to reach my moral principles. It's the
Right.
kind of journey that someone who had a certain ideology and then goes to another ideology tends to have, because they're willing to grab from different places.
Right.
If they think the best plan is a plan that uses markets or whatever,
Yeah.
they're going to go for that because they have a kind of flexibility built into their mindset.
See, and I like that. And people don't do that enough and reward that kind of like, well, now I've learned something, so I've changed my mind about it. And but the problem is these are people in their 70s we're talking about. And honestly, that doesn't happen very often. Ask Bernie Sanders to change his mind about something. Fuck no, he never will. Okay? That man is set in his ways.
Well, Bernie Sanders was not a Republican during the AIDS
Never.
crisis,
Right.
so-
And the thing is, and this is the thing about Bernie, he's been on the right side of history the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
And that's-
dude, that's on everybody else for not
Yeah,
listening to the
exactly.
motherfucker the whole time, honestly.
And
But-
yo, like, wow.
Oh,
This
time
is
she
turning
flies.
into a blur.
There she goes.
I have more things to say, internet. I promise.
We'll extend this. We'll
Yeah,
go like
no, this is a good thing. This is a
Yeah.
good thing. I need to be controlled.
This is.
I need the
God.
tight whip of a timer.
I didn't even get to hate on Amy so much, man. But Amy was the one that I wanted to shit on this time
I don't
around.
know, man.
We won't see her again. I think she's
like,
done anyways,
let's
we'll
not.
see.
It's just kicking someone while they're down.
Is she? Because everybody else is like, she did great last night.
Really?
People are like on her dick about it right
Maybe
now.
I have to
dude.
do
Like,
my Googles.
Ooh, bro. People are like, she won because she interjected the most. All right, shots.
Okay.
To Amy.
We'll see. We'll see. To Amy, our girl. It's number 5.
Excuse me. Yeah, it's number 5.
Thank God.
We're approaching the end. All right, number 5.
Woo!
Pop Culture Corner. All right, so the season finale of Watchmen.
Oh boy.
Just
You have
happened
not
this week,
seen.
which I have not seen. So
Yep.
this is going to be an incomplete discussion, and we're going to try to avoid spoilers. But let's talk about just Watchmen.
Oh man, we are. That's gonna be hard.
Well, let's talk about Watchmen. Let's set it up. So, what is Watchmen? Watchmen originally began as that graphic novel,
Yes.
from a long time ago, and then it was turned into that movie by Zack Snyder. That
Let's not talk about that one.
overly.
It was fine.
It was fine, and it really tried to be loyal to the graphic
Well,
novel.
man,
like,
that would
almost
be a
to
whole
fault.
conversation. That was a whole All right.
Oh God! All right, well,
Wow.
let's unpack that later. But basically, this HBO series Watchmen takes place about 30 years after the
Well, it
events.
takes place in modern day.
Modern day, 30
In the
years
Watchmen universe.
In the Watchmen universe.
Well, and we should say that Watchmen is a critique and a deconstruction of superhero myths.
Sure. But when did the events of the Watchmen happen?
In the
original
80s
graphic novel, it's in the
before
80s,
the 80s.
right? It's
so 1985-ish, I think.
1985 is when the event happens, right? The psychic squid is dropped on New York.
And it's set in the background of
Cold War.
The backdrop of Cold War. We're worried
anxieties
that the world
like
is going to get blown up by nukes.
So that's the original. That's the original Watchmen, and all of this whole story centers around this Ubermensch that we've created, this Superman of Dr. Manhattan, who is far and away the most powerful thing on the planet, and he is American.
Yeah,
and
Superman exists,
right? And
he is
in that
American.
universe, that American Superman helped us to win the Vietnam War, which propelled Nixon to 5 presidential terms in that universe.
That.
So horrifying. There are worse things. But hey, there are superheroes in that universe. That's good. So anyways, this now the HBO series, which is incredible. This is the
Phenomenal
new
TV.
Game of Thrones. This is the new It show for sure. But it's dealing with a whole new slew of issues. Yeah. And it's really, 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 I would say, racially focused. That is definitely
the central theme of the show is absolutely race.
Right, 100%. And it's just to show, look, the events of 1985 in the Watchmen universe, the whole point is it's a giant conspiracy, a giant conspiracy to create and foster global peace, world peace.
A conspiracy of one man who decides to unite the world by uniting them
creating
behind
an existential
tragedy,
threat. Yes, behind a tragedy.
A threat that we can all unite to defeat and kind of be anxious about, so we don't have to be anxious about each other. To realize that we are more alike than we are different, because there's a giant squid lurking behind the fabric of reality.
So this is what happens in the original Watchmen. We're at the height of Cold War. It's 5 minutes to midnight or whatever, and we're about to blow ourselves up. So this brilliant man finds a way to drop a giant psychic squid
Brilliant
on New
sociopath.
York.
Brilliant sociopathic
and then
narcissist.
When this squid drops on New York, a psychic flash goes out. 3 million people die. It's like a massive event that galvanizes the whole world to unite and not fight each other. However, here we are in that world 30 years later, and there is all sorts of conflict still at play. So did it really unite us? No. It fucking didn't.
And what really could? I mean, one of the final lines in the Watchmen graphic novel, comic, in the issues is Veidt, the character who orchestrated this squid drop, asked Dr. Manhattan, was it all worth it? Yeah. Dr. Manhattan said, he says, was it all worth it? Was it all worth it in the end? And Dr. Manhattan says, nothing ever ends.
Nothing ever ends.
And this is the prompt for this whole show. Nothing ever ends. Human conflict will never end. It will go in cycles, and we will be back to it.
We'll find new things to be pissed off about.
Your secret supervillain plan will never change the fundamental nature of humanity.
Yeah, exactly.
You can never build a brave new world.
Well, yeah, but such ambition, right? That he had.
I think a central part of Ozymandias, so Ozymandias is the guy, kind of Adrian Veidt. Ozymandias is like secret superhero name. And this is essentially a narcissist who wants to save the world because he's
got his own
he
Jesus
sees himself
complex,
as an Alexander the Great kind of figure. So he wants to create this brave new world that will never come, and he wants to be adored for it, and he will never be. Yeah. And it just takes this idea of superheroes could ever save us and power could ever save us, and says, no, the problem is us. Yeah. It's me and you. It's our hearts. Yeah. We're just flawed beings.
It's human nature, this kind of conflict.
Those flaws will express themselves over and over again, and they will come up over and over again.
Yeah, and this is what is explored in the new series in a big way. And honestly, they use
beautifully done,
very well done. And it brings up like so many of our anxieties, especially the whole white anxiety. I really like that they bring that up.
Like such a smart choice. You have the anxiety of the Cold War and global destruction,
right?
And then
now you have the
flash
shifting
forward. You have our racial identities.
And
exactly.
And it just seems so odd, right? It's like, white people, why are you so afraid? Right? Are you worried that you might be treated like a minority in America?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I get why you're afraid now. It's just kind of interesting to see these dynamics play out in that fictional universe.
I wish you'd watch the finale.
That's on me. That's on me.
Mildly.
That's completely on me. I
should. I mean, we should avoid spoiler. I like your tack of avoiding just general spoilers.
Definitely check out the show. Yeah. This show is incredible. Did it get renewed? Is it?
Well, the thing is, and this is what I love to hear from a showrunner. He says that he doesn't. Damon Lindelof, the Lost guy of all people. I hated Lost guy, but he did a great job.
I never watched
it.
Yeah.
And I've heard great. Well, anyway. Damon Lindelof says, I do not have an idea worthy of a second season. And I hope if he never gets one, he leaves it at that.
Right. Yeah. See, there's not enough show. This is the Westworld problem, right? Like the first season of Westworld.
Exactly.
Whoa, the second season.
Don't shove it down my throat. Just
what's going on?
No, I mean, this is a show that I'm a big fan of, The Good Place. It's ending this season. It could have kept going. They could have turned it into this infinite show, and they didn't. I love it when a show does that.
So much better.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Beautiful beginning, middle, and end.
Just
arc. And if you want to milk it, make some spinoffs.
Ugh, right. Which they did, which I don't watch.
Oh, well. Well,
hey, did you see the...
I'll go hard in the paint for Better Call Saul.
Yeah, really?
I'll roll deep for Better Call Saul.
Season. Did you see the...
You fucking Philistine.
All right. Did you see the Breaking Bad movie, though, on Netflix? Did you see that one?
I did. Yeah,
I did. Oh, see, that's the kind of shit
satisfying ending for Jesse's character.
Like just getting Jesse Pinkman's ending. Right. I mean, we had Walter White's ending already, so it was good to get that little send off for Jesse. How Jesse gets back on his feet because that was so left in the open.
Jesse was gonna die season 1.
Yes, I did know that. I did know that, and then they just wrote him. They continued it because the dynamic worked so well.
I love a showrunner with a plan, but stories like this convince me that having some light-footedness as a showrunner is a great thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, if they had killed Jesse, what kind of legacy would that show have?
You would just have to get another Jesse, basically to fill that role anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely keep it as Jesse. That was so much better watching their dynamics and their story.
If you just have a show about a fundamentally okay person becoming evil, having the counterbalance of a fundamentally kind of shitty person becoming good is a really good trajectory to have alongside that. And seeing them cross in the middle and then move apart again. Man. Beautiful. God, that's such a good
show. And this is the kind of thing it's kind of become the measuring stick by which other shows are measured, right? Breaking Bad is a fucking masterpiece. I don't think you can really find too many people that argue that point, and I don't think you can find many people that argue that another show is better than Breaking Bad objectively. That's very difficult to try and find somebody who's going to be what do you think?
It's so easy to find someone. The call is coming from inside the house.
What do you mean? Better than Breaking Bad as
a TV
show?
Baby.
Okay.
The Wire, baby.
All right. We gotta get our last shot, and then we can talk about The Wire. Fuck it. Let's just keep going on pop culture. I was going to talk travel stories, but we don't have any good travel stories.
I don't have any good travel stories that don't involve...
I was going to talk about how I met Danny Ho over at Hong Kong
cute.
Don't not
tell that story. God damn it. Fuck you. Just let me pray at the feet of this adorable story.
She's shaking it off. She's like, don't do it. She's waving it off.
No.
All right, hold on. Let's take our shot first.
Oh my God. How are you going to tempt me with that fucking adorable ass shit?
Do you not know the story?
Mm-mm. Woo! Yo, Nick, where the fuck you at? Come on, baby. Get on my level.
Nick was on the floor.
No, I mean, all the respect.
I'm pretty sure. Nick was vom squad after.
No, let's not rub it in. I'm better than Nick.
But
let's
Nick
just
rallied. Nick rallied.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Nick. That was one of the. Oh, I'm so sorry.
And by the way, the shots we were doing. The shots we were doing were stronger last week, Nick. So don't even feel.
They were.
Don't even feel.
I pushed out on the 35.
Yeah, man. So we got we got 35 proof versus a 43 percentage or whatever.
Shots are a lot of alcohol.
Right, I know, man. This bottle goes down so.
What the fuck? Can't wait.
So that's all in us. We're not quite feeling it right now. Okay, so quickly, Danny Ho. How did I meet Danny Ho? Hi, Danny.
Oh, it's happening, Danny. It's happening, Danny.
So very quickly, this was back in 2012.
Is that Asian flush that I see, or is it embarrassment?
Yeah, he's getting embarrassed. Okay, so The year is 2012. I am traveling. I'm traveling with my roommate at the time, Michael Villafranco. I know you'll be listening. And we go down to Hong Kong just for a night. The new Bond movie's out, Skyfall. We're going to go see the new Bond movie. And then we're going to go to Lung Kwai Fong, LKF. This is the Bourbon Street of Hong Kong, okay? This is the sloppiest, shittiest, bars everywhere. It's an awesome party. Jello shots on the streets. Whatever you want. You can walk around with your beers everywhere, too. That's just Asia. Them's China perks right there. You can do that anywhere.
Street beer paradise.
Right. And so, anyways, me and my buddy Mike, we go to LKF after we see the Bond show, and then we get to a hookah lounge, and I pick up a shisha, but we have no table to sit, and I see these beautiful ladies. A girl or two. There were two of them. And they just had an empty table and two extra seats. I'm like, hey, guys. Can we sit? And then they spoke with Australian accents. I was like, what? You're not supposed to be here. Who are you? This makes no sense. You're supposed to be speaking...
Some deeply charming prejudice right there.
Yeah, I'm like, hold on. I'm like, hold on. This is getting borderline racist. Anyway.
It's so charming, though.
Anyways, I meet her at 1:30 in the morning. A little shit-faced. She's a little shit-faced. And we end up partying the whole night. We end up hanging out the whole time. We have such a great time.
Isn't that such a wonderful thing? Even when it doesn't turn into a beautiful relationship. To just have this chance meeting and have a great party night that feels like you were BFF.
Well, then that was what the crazy part of it was. Because here we are.
We're not totally friendly. I don't know. I don't want to make any assumptions.
Trust me. If there's anybody who knows how to hit those buttons. But it's amazing, right? Like, how chance is that? That? Like, and that is completely affected. I've lived years in Australia because of that fucking weird little chance incident.
We find ourselves in the beautiful pachinko of life.
Isn't it
just
crazy?
Bouncing from place to place.
And which is why I think the futility of, like, trying to make a plan and stick with it is kind of like...
sure.
I admire people that have that vision and that direction that they, like... They want to pursue it.
I don't.
Papice and Caroline, if you're listening, Papice and Caroline, your drive has always been a motivation for me and something that I could never find for myself. These are my lawyer friends. They're in New York, saving the world, front lines. Like, you want to say social justice warrior, but literally, like the ones that are fighting to improve rights of fight. Correct. Like, not in fucking... For real. No, these are... Anyways, love them. Like, it is so impressive to me. And I just never had that kind of drive or push in one direction or anything like that. And here I was just letting life happen to me. And here I still am letting life happen to me. And
that's the way to live a life sometimes.
I suppose. But yeah, sometimes it feels like a little more direction might be helpful, though. What do you think, Mr. PhD?
Didn't work out for me.
No, yeah.
No. Listen, a direction is fine if you want it, right? If you have to find a direction if you feel it.
Yeah.
If you have a clear direction in your mind, by all means, go out and get it. But I mean,
like if you feel compelled a certain way,
right? Yeah. Like I am a big believer in simply learning from your experiences.
Right. Yeah.
And if your experience is someone who has had a plan and that pays off, then continue. But I find a lot of value in letting things happen and letting myself be open to things that don't necessarily have an end game.
Right. Allow your expectations to be surprised, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah,
and then sort of roll with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just see where things go. Right.
Right.
And 9 times out of 100. 9 times out of 100.
that's not a good.
Hold on. Wait. No. 99 times out of 100, it's bad.
It's bad.
But one time, it's really, really awesome. And actually, bear with me.
Okay.
It costs you very little. Often, like, the risks you think you're taking is more of an emotional risk than an actual risk in your life.
Right. And this goes back to this, like, when you do something embarrassing, fucking, you're the one who's thinking about it. Like, nobody else is like, other people are like, you idiot.
Maybe the 6th shot on this show should be like a heart-to-heart, where you just talk about life. Because I am so drunk, I can't do anything else.
Well, this is what I mean about the 6th.
It's over.
Yeah, this is the last one. Yeah, this is the last one. So this is why, but the 6th topic, I just want to freestyle.
Yeah, exactly. Yo, spit it off the dome.
Wherever we felt like,
here's some life advice, baby.
Wait. Amy Klobuchar. Why do I hate Amy Klobuchar? No,
I don't know.
All right, no,
My
Amy.
God, we are so
You're
far
right,
beyond
Amy
Klobuchar.
All right.
Can we? We have nothing more useful to tell the internet.
No.
The internet.
The internet
if you're
knows
not
everything.
Satisfied by
No, the
now,
internet doesn't know
there's
everything.
nothing more I can do.
Yang gang, baby.
I just,
Get out of there. You want the
Fine.
internet. Woo!
You know, I like that Yang is running.
I'll take that. That's an endorsement.
That's some progress.
think,
There's a
yeah.
little more for the next episode.
I appreciate that. That
See if
means
you
a
can
lot to me.
get me up there.
That does mean a lot to me. But yeah, come on, guys, vote Yang. Chuck
Cheers,
him
YouTube.
$10. Chuck him $10. You know you like him in there at least. Like he might not be your first choice, but you know you don't hate him. You wouldn't mind him being president. Each and every one of you.
Here's
you
what
know
I have to
you'd
say
like
to
him.
you, internet. Listen to what Yang has to say. He's got some shit to say.
Oh,
Listen to him. Take him seriously.
right, man.
Not necessarily as a person who might win the presidency, but shut up. As a thinker. I'm looking at the GoPro right now. I'm not looking at you.
right. Talk about that
This isn't
Overton
about
window.
you.
Let's talk about that Overton window,
This is
right?
about me and YouTube. We're having a heart to heart.
See, this is what everybody talks about. Everybody likes Yang for moving that Overton window. It's like, you know, you can just vote for Yang. He's in the race right now. You can vote for these policies right now. People are like, oh, it's too soon. It's too early for Yang and his big ideas. Like,
Here's the thing. I'll vote for him if he has a snowball's chance in hell of winning Massachusetts, or if my girl Lizzie Dobbs is like for Deafy sure winning Massachusetts. We have been saying nonsense for the past. It's got to have been 10 minutes.
I don't know. I need my
I'm
timer.
gonna pour myself another shot.
Oh no. We still got plenty of time. But
you hear that,
no.
Nick? Another shot.
Nick, you bitch. I know we're done with shots. Are we done with time? Yeah. All right.
I'm done with
All right,
shots
cool.
when I say I'm done with shots.
All right. So, anyways, I can't stop soapboxing Yang, Childish Gambino. Fucking go listen to some Gambino in honor of my man joining the Yang gang.
Yang is a fascinating thinker who has ideas that should be listened to.
Thank you. Democracy dollars. Boom. What
I like
about
'em.
that one? Ooh,
I like democracy
give
dollars.
everybody $100. You leave it on the table or you use it in the political campaigns. So instead of trying to get money out of politics, just fucking flood it with more.
No, I like democracy
money.
dollars. There's an experiment in, well, this is a topic for another day, but there's a nice experiment in the Seattle area.
Did it happen? It's actually
It had happened, yeah.
Ah, very interesting.
We gave a bunch of people money. The main problem at first is that people didn't really use the money because they weren't really super aware that it was something they could do.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they didn't care that much, maybe.
That always ends up being like kind of one of the problems, right? Like,
if you can't get people to vote, how can you get them to use their
right.
democracy dollars to some
and this
extent?
is one of the big things that Yang said. He was talking about like, so Asians, minorities, people of color do not donate to political campaigns. You know
that's a
why?
great point.
You know what you need to donate to political
Disposable
campaigns?
income, baby.
Disposable income.
It's a great point.
Fucking great point right there, man. So anyways, you're Yang gang, you'll get there.
And also just a generally great point about just income distribution, right?
Right.
Like just the whole idea of political donations means that dollar has a vote.
Right.
But it's
Especially post Citizens
Dollar
United.
has a vote.
I know what you mean.
I can't talk words.
Especially post Citizens United.
Cut. Edit. Do
All
an
right.
outro.
All right. So anyways, that was episode 2. Thank you very
Episode
much,
2.
Neil.
Suspicious.
He did get shitty. He's shit-faced now.
Well, I'm fine.
We're going to be shittier after this camera is over. But thank you very much for listening,
I'm
guys.
going to
And we
sleep
will
after
get
this.
you guys next week.
Love
Bye.
you, babies.